Hey there, Darius Wallace, actor, storyteller, poet. So I often get asked to coach people in their presentations because I'm an actor. And at this point, I've coached a lot of people. I was a TEDx coach for Memphis for 7 years. But at the same time, I'm mainly an actor. And I draw a lot from being an actor. But one of the things I learned about storytelling is how important it is for your own mental, emotional, physical health. And then also, too, how important it could be for the people you're telling the story to, for their emotional, mental health. So, some years ago, I was with Tennessee Shakespeare Company, and I was really, really, really depressed. And to the point of just not being able to function, that depressed. Anyway, I got a call from the artistic director of Tennessee Shakespeare, Dan McCleary, who wanted me to be in Julius Caesar playing Mark Antony. Now, if you know anything about that show, Mark Antony, it is a long monologue that he has. It is a big role, lots of emotion, lots of passion. I knew within myself I wasn't ready. Not only that, there was some other issues that was happening at the time, and I didn't think that I would be psychologically ready. So I had a hard time deciding on what to do. He said to me, Darius, it'll be good for you. Now, in my mind at the time, I was thinking, well, he means good as it relates to, at the stage that I am as an actor at this time. Not just I'm right for the role now, but also that it'll grow me as an actor, because that's Dan. He wants to grow you as an actor. So I was happy with that, but at the same time, I knew I would not make it. I did get some advice. I did reach out for help to get some advice on what I should do. And the advice I got was to do it, which I was hoping it would be the opposite. But I did it. I accepted the role. Now here's the thing. I knew in order to do this role, I would have to get up early and work on it. And notice something. I noticed that when I got up and I started to work on the role, 4:35 in the morning, that there was this elevation, or elevation is probably not the right word, there was this relief from the depression. And the more I worked on it, the more there was a sense of relief. And do you know, after days of working on my lines, working on the character, before I knew it, the depression was gone. And as I continued to go to rehearsals, I started to gain this sense of joy, light, life, happiness, freedom from working on this play, working on this show, working with other actors, working on this story, working on the character. And it was in that moment that I had a firsthand experience on the power of storytelling as it relates to me as a human being. And when you look up the benefits, health benefits of storytelling, it's going to tell you that it relieves depression. It also helps for better breath flow, blood flow, relieves anxiety, and gives you a sense of joy, similar to yoga. I actually did a TED Talk on that, Yoga, the Storytelling of the Soul. And so there really is, I experienced it, something beautiful, something powerful about sharing your story, but also just sharing stories in general. So I want to encourage you to be aware of your story, be aware of stories around you. A lot of times we'll go to the movies. We don't know it. We think we just want to be entertained, but we'll go to the movies to help relieve pain. We'll watch TV or stream TV to help us relieve pain because of what those stories can do for us. Not just to be inspired, but to feel. And I think the thing is that we, sometimes we're not feeling anything, or we're not releasing feelings, which I believe also can contribute to depression and anxiety. And stories or movies, theater, books, talking to friends, these things can alleviate or relieve us of anxiety. And so be aware of stories. And also I want to encourage allegories, spiritual stories from different religious traditions, because in those stories they're very direct in the message. There are other stories that are not very direct in the message, but that's okay because the message is there. So I want to leave you with a couple of things on storytelling. One of the things that you want to think about being a storyteller is, how do you take care of yourself? How do you discover the powers, plural, that's within you, so that you can use those powers to help enhance your life, which, guess what? Enhances your story. And so that by the time you have an opportunity to share it, you might be able to use your story to help transform someone's life. So the first power I want to talk about is the power of faith. Now, when you're talking about faith, I'm not really talking about religion, all right? I'm talking about true faith. Your ability to realize that God's good is out there for you. Saying yes to that good. A lot of times we don't want to say yes to what's good out there for us because we feel so guilty. We have so much in our past. We have so many resentments, or we may have people that resent us, that it's very difficult to receive what's good for us. And faith enables you to receive what's good for you. There's a lot of goodness out there for you. And when we experience that goodness, it enables us to bring more goodness to others. So faith is saying yes to God's good, the good that you desire. And it's also where it says in the scriptures, can't help but be spiritual, because that's what I am. Not religious, but spiritual. But faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And so the material universe, which is a material of stories for us, comes from what's not seen. That's scientific. Science says that only 1% of reality is visible. The other 99% is invisible. And what's beautiful is, in faith, we can use our imagination to help create the life that we want, to help create the things that we want, to help create, for me, the stories that I want to tell. And when we know we can draw upon this great faith, sometimes even imperfectly, there's something about it. It says in this book called The Alchemist that when we pursue something, it seems like the universe conspires to make sure that we get it plus some. So when you recognize that within yourself, faith, it gives you a space to experience some mental, emotional, and spiritual health, because you know that there's something within you that can get what you're trying to get. And a lot of times our mental, emotional, and spiritual health falters because we do not believe we can have it. And now we feel limited, and now we feel trapped. How does this relate to storytelling? Well, when you're telling stories, it's good to understand your own relationship to the power of faith, because in a lot of stories, faith comes into the place and space. And then also, too, you will recognize within your own story the times when you really did use faith to come out of your circumstances or overcome circumstances. Why is that important? Because not only can you use that same faith when you have other challenges, but you can share that faith with others as you share your story, or guess what? Share someone else's story. And so, remember, one of the powers that you have is faith, and that we're surrounded by stories. Your stories matter. And when you tell stories, the life you may inspire might be your own.